Craig Smoak.
Baylor, Texas coming up Saturday night. UT is ranked as high as 3 coming off that win a couple of weeks ago, and the momentum of Alabama took care of business when they had to against Wyoming, and Baylor just after 6:30 ABC. Roger Wallace, voice or color analyst and voice with UT football, on with us on 365 Sports. Raj, was there a little bit of uncomfortable feeling that, oh my God, what they did at Alabama, and all of a sudden here they were tied at 10 into the fourth quarter with Wyoming, that maybe they weren't what everyone thought they were going to be this year?
No doubt. We've talked before about the scar tissue here from the last 10 plus years. So yeah, I mean, this is a tie game going into the fourth quarter, and you know they had the big light show. They unveiled the LED lights, and they did it between the third and the fourth, and you know the fans were fired up, but they were probably a lot more concerned about the fact that it was a 10-10 ball game. So yeah, 100%. That they just looked a little bit sluggish on offense and got popped one big time in the Wyoming run game. And you would think, okay, 7-0, 30 seconds in, no big deal. But this thing lingered for quite a while.
Roger, did that tell you maybe more about this team having some more gumption than some of those teams in the past? Because there are some Texas teams in the past that would have lost that game 13-10 to Wyoming at home.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. The fact that they kind of follow the script just in different ways. If you look at their first 3 games, in all 3 games, they've scored 21 points in either the third or the fourth quarter after scoring 1 touchdown in each of the first halves of the 3 games. So, you know, Sark's big problem early on was finishing and losing leads. Now, as he said yesterday, now we got to figure out how to start a little bit faster. And that's odd from an offensive guy, a guy that scripts, a guy that, you know, usually has a defense off balance early because he's got time to kind of game plan his offense. So, you know, there's always something to nitpick, but the bottom line is did what they had to do. And then they make big plays with the defense. You don't count on that, but it's funny how really good teams always seem to get those. And they nearly had the pick 6 at Alabama, and then they did have the pick 6 on Saturday.
Roger, what's kind of the thought going into this Baylor game? Obviously, Big 12 opener on the road. I know there's the underlying, you know, this will be the last time ever, or at least for a long time, that these two teams play, maybe the last time they ever play in Waco. But obviously the Bears have struggled out of the gates. There's no doubt about that. So what was kind of the messaging from Sark following that, you know, less than desirable performance, but still a win, and now heading into the conference play?
Well, on the field, I think they definitely want to clean some things up. They did not throw the ball well. It was a pretty stark contrast from the Bama game when not only they had a big game throwing it, but they were successful in throwing it over the top. Maybe Wyoming had something to do with that. They were going to keep Texas from getting over the top, but there are usually ways to kind of figure things out that just didn't happen. But I think you're exactly right. Just going to Waco, knowing the energy and emotion that's going to be in that stadium, and you know, as Sark said, you know, we're on this farewell tour, but we still got to be the ones that punch, not get punched all the time. And so I think there's just a concern that, you know, they've lost the last 2 times up there, and they know what Baylor's capable of. All you have to look at is the Utah game. So, yeah, they're very concerned, and I think it's going to be that way every week with this team.
Roger, the feeling up here is, oh, my God, what's this score going to be? Because Baylor has looked very average at best in the loss to Texas State, and then how they finished against Utah, and even dangled or lingered with Long Island. What do you hear? I know you study the game and all that as well, and it's still early in the week, but what do you hear about what might be something Texas is concerned about, if anything, with Baylor this week?
Well, I think it's the things that you worry about on the road, and that's some momentum shifts. Texas hadn't turned the ball over until pretty late in the fourth quarter on Saturday when the game was out of hand all 3 games. So you take care of the ball, and that eliminates if you think you're the better team, well, how does another team get in it? Well, you get a turnover, you get a short field, things like that. So that's always something. As average to below average as Quinn Ewers played Saturday, he still took care of the ball. Now, he had one throw that very easily could have been picked. That hasn't been the case of the first 2 games. But I think that's where a concern is, just big momentum swings. The running game's been consistently inconsistent until the last drive against Alabama and second half against Wyoming. So there's some concern. Okay, if they can't run the ball, do they put Ewers in harm's way? We know Dave Aranda can, coach defense. So I think they're concerned about all those things. And then just the concern of, guys, when a team thinks they're really good, I think that's when everybody's even more on edge because, they know what's at stake. And I think that probably plays into it as well, whether they'll admit it or not. It's just the fact that, okay, we're number 3 now is they're thinking that means we got a lot farther to get knocked off our perch if things go south.
Roger, do you think maturity would pop up as an issue with this team? I mean, they've got a lot of guys who have been a lot, whether transfer portal or been at Texas for a while that have seen some things, but a lot of these guys are also, kind of new to success.
Yeah. And there's a small sample size of what happened at Alabama. And that was Bama hit them, took the lead late in the third, and Texas didn't flinch. Now we can all discuss, okay, maybe this Alabama team is not that good based on the Texas game and the South Florida game. But so far they've answered that because they all have been second half games and, good and bad. Good that they've been able to, figure it out in the second half, pull away, come back, do whatever they've had to do. Or, the flip side is what if they start slow again and find themselves in a hole that's, on the road, emotion, momentum, and things like that. Maybe that does cost them. So I think the first thing they like to do is establish the run from the start. And then if, the big offensive line can wear on a defense if they can do that. And then that obviously opens everything up. But, yeah, I think they're concerned about everything in this ball game Saturday. Is I know up there that might sound a little bit absurd, but I guess when you're on the other side of it, you're worried about, it's that old line from The Firm, my job is to worry about things you don't worry about. I think that's what they're doing right now.
So, Roger, how was that light show? The LEDs and the drones and all of the lights and everything that they've done to DKR to modernize it and have it, up to the best of the best. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was cool. David's been up there. Our view is a little different because we have an overhang and a photo deck, so we can't see up. We can see out. And but the light show was cool. And you're right. They've just done things over the last several years to enhance that kind of game day experience and make it more of a home field advantage. So it was cool. But, again, it was a little tension in the building at 10-10.
Well, I'll even say this. This is how mad everybody is in Waco. Immediately, well, we need to do that at McLean Stadium. It's like that is now like Oklahoma has it, Texas has it. Didn't we go to Permian High School at Ratliff Stadium in Odessa?
Yeah,
they had I'm telling you, it was an incredible show. Roger, the running game, somebody earlier this week mentioned that they didn't run the ball well, but Brooks had over 160 yards. Was it just that they didn't dominate with a big 250 or so yards rushing game against someone like Wyoming?
Yeah, for sure. And again, sometimes it falls on deaf ears, but Wyoming's probably pretty good. Now, they had to make a quarterback change right out of the gates. I'm not sure how much they cost him, but they added a running back, the guy that gashed him for that long touchdown, who had not played in the first 2 games. So, they were 2-0, quality win against Texas Tech. But, yeah, that's something that has, Sark, I don't want to say concern, but that's something they want to improve on. Now, they've been spoiled. We've talked about it before when you have Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson. But Jonathan Brooks did go for 164. And the one thing Sark liked is that he did a lot of it in the fourth quarter. So he proved that, he can kind of be that hammer that they might need in the second half of ball game. Not sure what they're going to get out of C.J. Baxter if they get anything on Saturday. So it'll probably be a lot more of the same as far as Jonathan Brooks. But I think they expect Quinn Ewers to be sharper this Saturday and that pass game be sharper than it was against Wyoming.
What about the health of the team?
Well, they lost 2 linemen. I mean, Cole Hudson, on and off starter at guard, is gone for a few weeks. Defensive lineman Chris Ross, he's a rotation guy, but sees a lot of snaps. He's gone the same amount of time. So those are the 2 big ones. And again, Sark said Baxter was back. Doesn't necessarily mean he's back to the point where he's going to get any snaps. but you do lose some depth on both sides of the ball, and I think they liked Cole Hudson in there. DJ Campbell got the start in the opener, but he's been a little bit inconsistent. So I think that was a pretty significant hit for the next several weeks.
Look forward to seeing you Saturday, my friend. Thank you very much for your time, Raj.
Right back at you guys. Thanks for having me.
Roger Wallace, Texas Color Analyst, Texas Radio, on the game Saturday evening at 6:30.
Yeah, that was the last game on the Longhorn Network. If you watched it this past Saturday, so a little bit of history was made there. And
oh, damn, I should have turned over.
Well, it's one of the first games I've ever watched on the Longhorn Network. I think maybe 2 or 3 in the history of it.
Yeah, that was the last time they'll air a game. So, we'll see. I don't know what I know they're absorbing it or whatever in the SEC network or however that's going to work. I don't know if they've made all that official, but yeah, that was the last broadcast there. I think I saw a couple games on there. They did fine, but it wasn't ever a big time, main event game they just had to tune in for. So I know it's a bummer for some of the people involved, but just thought I'd mention that because there's a little bit of history given how much grinding of teeth there were over the Longhorn Network over the years. But, a little bit of a swan song.
I watched a conference game against Texas, a Longhorn Network game in football one time, and I think I don't know what their record was, but I think the opposing team might have been Kansas State or someone like that, gave them hell, Iowa State. When we come back, Hall of Fame columnist John McClain